You have the price that you charge, you have the value that they get, and then you have the cost associated with delivering the thing. And so you want these lines to be as far apart as humanly possible. All of them. You want them to be spread out super, super far. You want to have crazy high value at the top. You want a price that's a premium. And then you want to have a lot of juice left over relative to your cost. And the way to get that kind of space between your cost and your price is to do the work of the 100 details that your competitors aren't willing to do. They're not willing to find out that when someone walks in the restaurant, if we find out what their name is at the car, we can greet them by name. Small thing, right? And we have the waitresses all write down on the receipt what their name is and say, thanks for coming in. Ow. Whatever, right? And we try to make sure that they all get their waters within 30 seconds of sitting down. We make sure that they get their bread within 2 minutes. We make sure that we check in every 5 or every 10 or whatever we've tested has been the right amount. And maybe it comes down to asking the customer up front, hey, is this something do you want me to come, is this a fast dinner or is this something you want to kind of juice and enjoy? I will match your cadence. Maybe simply asking the question draws attention to the fact that you care. It might not even matter what you do, but maybe simply asking the question improves their experience.
Let's walk through this. I said, if you were able to pay $1 and get $5 back, would you do it? And he's like, well, it would depend. I said, it would depend on what? He said, well, what's the likelihood that the 5 to 1 actually happens? I said, that's just the average. So some people are below average, some people are above average. He's like, okay, that feels like a fair bet. Well, what would I need to do? I was like, great question. You'd have to dedicate probably 10 plus hours a week to fully kind of implementing a new model within your business. He was like, okay, how long would it take between when I started and when I got those types of results? And I said, about a year. He was like, okay, well, then yeah, I think I would do it. And so that thought process was kind of the first big unlock to making so much money that it should feel illegal, which is that you can't sell out of your wallet. You have to sell off of the value that you're creating for someone else. We were able to charge significantly more and profit significantly more than everybody else in my space. And so everyone else in my space was charging literally a tenth of what I was able to charge, or I prefer to say command, from the marketplace. Price is the single largest lever on profit. So let's say we've got a before, all right, which is that you sell your tables, all right, and you've got an after. This obviously works for services or whatever else you sell, all right? And so let's say you charge $100 for your table, and your cost for that table is, I'll be extreme here. We'll say it's $50, okay? Now, let's say that you have other costs like marketing and sales and other stuff like that. That amounts to $30. All right, so that means that your net profit's gonna be $20 when you sell a table. Gross profit is 50, net profit's 20. Okay, now let's say that we reposition our table as this amazingly valuable thing that is now a $1,000 table. Okay, now our cost on this, the table itself might be 50, but let's say we include some of those perks. Let's say we've got the hand delivery and things like that. Okay, well, let's say that the delivery is gonna be another $200 for one of your guys to go out there and use the truck, gas, whatever. So now we got $250 here. Okay, got it. And then the other costs, maybe your cost of sales goes up a little bit to sell this. You got to get more leads. Okay, so we'll call it 130. All right. So now what are we actually making in net profit for this table? So we got 380. Okay, I wish I had done easier math, but I think it's 620 here. All right. So $620 in profit. And so this is how you can get unreasonably wealthy in a very short period of time by simply repositioning what you sell based on the value it provides someone else rather than the cost that it costs you. And so to put this in context, this is a 31x increase in profit.
Lots of rules means you have dumb people. So let's talk about that for a second. So one of the things to prevent against this is a rule from Amazon, which is that every person you hire, you want to raise the average bar of the team that they're getting hired into. I literally used this yesterday with someone that we were interviewing. Layla was like, what do you think about this person? I said, well, do they raise the bar of the team? And it was like, I was like, all right, well then there's our answer. Because the thing is that all companies will, unless controlled for, dilute down talent. So people, sixes will hire fives, five will hire fours will hire threes, and people will always hire people that they're not threatened from because they want security first. And so you have to implement something like this because the reverse can also be true. Imagine if every single time you hired somebody, it raised the bar of the team, then the team will just continue to get better and better and smarter people, and the company will grow and grow and grow. And I have a fundamental belief that the level of a business grows kind of like a Christmas tree, where you've got the number and intelligence of brains that goes up. So if you have lots and lots and lots of really intelligent brains, the size of this business is huge. If you only have one brain that's intelligent and everyone underneath of that has a subset of the skills of that one brain, then it's only one brain that's competing against companies that have 100 smart brains. And that was something that in my early days, every person I hired, I could do their job better than them, and I trained them to do everything they did, which meant the limit of the business was me. I had to literally keep learning things, which you always have to do, of course, but I had to learn everything from scratch. And so the business then had to suffer what a day one customer success rep would deal with because I didn't know anything about customer success. And so the idea is I would rather bring someone in who has 10 years of experience in customer success so that we can start the business on year 10 of customer success. I want that person to have learned all those lessons on someone else's dollar. And then when they come to me, have all those lessons so I don't need the scars. And so one of the telltale signs also of an early company is that you've got people who have zero experience in leadership roles for a function they've never done before. And that's because it's like, well, this is my COO, Sarah. We have 5 people in our company, but she's our COO. It's like, don't use the term COO because she's going to look at salary.com and she's going to say that she'd make more than the entire company makes in revenue, right? No, that's not the case. Like, she's a manager, right? And realistically, she probably doesn't manage the whole business. She probably just manages this portion of it, or he just manages a portion of it. And so the thing is like, just because it's your mom or it's your brother or your best friend growing up, or that guy who you hired first and has been with you since the beginning, it still doesn't mean that they're right for the role. And so this is where a lot of the money that you want to make is on the other side of a few hard conversations, and many people never have them. They're willing to just accept mediocrity at the point of the bottleneck and never get debottlenecked because they can't say, hey, Sarah, I don't think it's working out, and I think it's my fault because I put you in a position without the resources to win. And I think, and this is how I manage it. What I want to do is I want to keep investing in you. And here's how I want to do it. I want to bring someone in who has a ton of experience, who knows more than both of us put together. And I'm going to basically pay for you to learn from this person so that you can become more skilled in your career. And then I want you to get laser focused on this thing over here that you were doing before and absolutely tune it up. And so this way, you're going to crush what you're currently doing every day, and it's absolutely within your scope and experience that I think you can do really well with it. And I also want to build out your future by bringing this person in. So think about it like me paying $100,000 a year for you to learn from somebody who has 10 years of experience. It's about the biggest gift I can give you. And so if you frame it like that, it's not like this is a demotion or like you suck. It's like, I'm trying to invest in you, and I'm going to invest in you by bringing this person in who's going to teach you. Now, if that person has an ego, which is usually the next common thing, which is like, well, I thought I was doing great, then it means you probably have a communication issue. Like, you're not telling them that Sarah's not doing a good job. And then Sarah gets upset. And the thing is at that point, Sarah might have an ego because she started at the front line and then became a manager. Then you gave her another title progression too fast. And to be really clear, I've done this 2 times with executive assistants, just with executive assistants within the companies a zillion times. So me personally, I've done this, and I don't really even deal with a lot of personnel in general. And it's like, I promoted someone too fast. I think it's the Peter principle, which is that people will advance to their point of incompetency. And so someone does really well at sales, and so then you put them in a sales manager, and then they've never managed a sales team, and they don't do really well at that, but they get promoted to their point of incompetence. So I lost a good salesperson, and I got a bad sales manager. And this is how most of corporations are run. People do well, and then their role changes into something they've never done before, and then they do poorly, and they get stuck there, they get fired. And most times, because the person who promoted them feels bad, they just get stuck there. And so you've got all these people who you still have positive associations with the work that they did, and you feel like you owe them because they did do a good job one time before, but now they're doing a poor job because they're not properly equipped and you didn't give them the skills to succeed, and they don't have the experience. And yes, that's your fault. But the thing is you can't fire you because you own the company. So somebody's got to go. And so either you got to move them aside, you redefine the role and move someone ahead of them, or you have to get rid of them. And again, this is what makes business hard. It's not that it's complicated. It's that you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. And I get that. that's what makes hard conversations hard. If you hate somebody, firing them is very easy, right? Like if someone stole from you, firing is not personal experience there. I slept fine that night. All right. It's the conversation with someone that you know is trying their best, that you really like as a human being, but isn't cutting it. And even if you think you could get them there, you're not willing to invest the resource to do it because it doesn't make sense. I could wait for someone to learn neurosurgery, and I think people could, but it might take a decade. And I don't know if I really want to invest all that time when I could just go find a neurosurgeon. And yeah, I might have to pay more, but I'd rather pay that than pay 10 years. And so to loop this back around to the story that I was talking with the private equity firms when I was looking at them, one of the big obvious things too is that many of the people on the other side of the table were making $1 million, $2 million, $5 million a year. And, you know, people who were in their 20s making $300,000, $500,000 a year. And I was like, okay, I need to reset my bar of what I have to compensate in order to attract A-level talent. And once I really understood the value of people, the way that we grew businesses completely changed. It stopped being about building businesses and became way more about assembling the teams that build the business. Like one of the core functions we do at acquisition.com, probably the thing that we invest the most resources into is recruiting talent. Like there's a reason that we go really hard on LinkedIn because people respond to our messages and we're like, hey, you ran all the ads at this $200 million per year direct-to-consumer business. We have a direct-to-consumer business that's at 20 million. Would you be willing to take it from 20 to 200 because we think you have the experience, or do you know anybody who does? And because we have a following there, we get the responses and we can get that level of talent. But that level of talent's not coming in for $100,000 a year. You can moan all you want that, oh, these employees want so much money, but there's a marketplace. There's a rate. And if you're not willing to pay it, there's a company that is smarter than you that is willing to pay it because they know the return on it. And I still think to this day, one of the biggest arbitrage that exists in business is paying a talent, a wages to get 10x the output. So let me drive this home. So you can get a B player. Let's use $100,000 as the baseline. So I want to hire a role for $100,000 for this thing. And a B player in the role will take 80. And a B plus might take 90 or 100. But there might be an A plus guy who's like 170. And it's like, whoa, that's like twice our budget for this role. But if that guy or gal has the output, like an A player can get you 5x, 10x the output of a B player, meaning 5 people who are B players at $100,000 a year equal 1 A plus at 170. That's still a great return and better than hiring 5 Bs. And especially in knowledge work. So if you have anything that has to do with thinking and not like where literally more hands are required to do the work, the outsized return on intelligence is so high that I still see it as one of the fundamental arbitrage that exists in business. How much time you save by hiring somebody who knows exactly what to do, how it drives revenue in the business, and they can use 10 years of experience that you don't have to pay. So I would rather pay 25%, 30% more for somebody, 50% more for somebody who can move me 10 years forward. Like it seems almost silly when you frame it like that not to. But the thing is, every day, small business owners want to save $5,000 on an annual salary for somebody who they know is perfect for the job.